Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And the murmurings and the rumblings and the fallout of the hate bill continue apace. There is one particular group, though, that are very deeply concerned, and that is the likes of For Women Scotland and so forth. These people say, I would call them these people, women, and they're the old-fashioned women, the ones that don't have penises, and they're saying that men are men and women are women. That is their belief. That is the way that they see the world, and that is how they're going to accept it. But they're concerned that by saying that, they are breaking the law and could be perceived as hate. Well, ladies, no, you're quite safe. It is a problem. We're going to have a look at this because people are coming on and they're saying it. We're going to look at this piece, but I will clarify, as far as I know, my understanding of the law. But we'll go in, we'll have a look at what's happening here because a BBC caller has come in, a caller to a BBC programme has come in and expressed this very fear. But you needn't worry. Let's have a look. So BBC caller highlights a huge issue with Humza's hate bill as she says that trans activists will use the law to silence women. The legislation is set to be enforced from April 1st, with critics worried about the potential impact on freedom of speech. And that includes Jean from Glasgow. Now, I don't know who Jean is. Jean rang in to the BBC, and she was very concerned with the way the bill was being pushed and implemented. And would it mean that any woman who insisted that a man was a man and a woman was a woman could face prosecution? Could face prosecution. Well, technically, yes, you could face prosecution. Let's be clear about that. You could face it. However, it's very unlikely. And the reason is the law. And we will come to that. So a BBC caller has perfectly illustrated one of the major issues with Humza Yousaf's hate bill as she dismantled the legislation. The law will be enforced by Police Scotland from April the 1st, with concerns raised over the impact of freedom of speech. And it emerged this week that police officers will need to investigate every single report of hate crime, putting even more pressure on an already stretched, I would say, overstretched force that will be quite incapable. It will fall apart. This will break the police. Among those most worried about the impact of the bill are gender-critical feminists, or as we like to call them, real women. They fear that trans activists will make spurious complaints to make life difficult for them, and that they could even face police action for simply calling a biological man a man. And that point was raised by a caller to Radio Scotland's morning show on Thursday. Now, we'll take a step here, and I will tell you this now straight up. There are various legal protections that you have. This law is at a Scotland level. Above it, you have UK-wide law. And the UK-wide law includes the 2010 Equality Act. Now, within the 2010 Equality Act is the right to philosophical belief. You are protected in your philosophical belief. So how do you exact it? Well, you just say, no, it's my philosophical belief that men are born men and women are born women and that they cannot change. And it does not matter what the individual calls themselves. That's up to them. They can call themselves anything they like. I'm not saying that he cannot call himself a her, but I, because of my philosophical belief, refuse to bend to his distorted reality, to bend to his self-denial, and to bend to what is effectively a lie. And I will stick with the truth. The truth is that that is a biological man, and I will address him as such. And there's virtually nowhere to go. There is no wriggle room in that because you are protected by the 2010 Act, which sits atop the Scottish law. Beyond that, you have the European Convention on Human Rights, which sits above that, which does enshrine in there not only your right to free speech, your right to free expression, your right to express your views without fear, but also your belief system, your religious observances, and your philosophical worldview is all protected in the ECHR, which sits above UK law. And so no, don't let it worry you. You cannot be done for calling a man if he pretends to be a woman. It is perfectly not going to happen. However, there are other areas where hate crime can exist, and we must still always invite the police to investigate. But please, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, don't do it on your mates. Don't do it in the community. Don't do it to other people. Unless they're being particularly obnoxious, don't. Politicians only. Politicians every day, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. Whenever any of them says anything that you're offended by, online, fill the form in, send it off, and have the police investigate. And within a week, you can guarantee they'll already be looking to change this law, because they'll be going, hang on a minute, I've had police visit me 16 times this week, says Ross Greer. We'll win. Of course we'll win. We are many, they are few, they are stupid. Anyway, we'll just round this off. Host Stephen Jardine had welcome views on the law, and Jean from Glasgow, God bless you Jean, wondered why sex had not been included in the legislation. It had earlier been said separate legislation would be created for that, but so far this has not been forthcoming. They deliberately removed sex because they knew the problem that the difference between sex and gender would cause within the legislation. They took the sex bit out because they don't want to protect women. They literally took it out to remove the protection of women from that law. That's the SNP government for you. So ladies, if you're an SNP supporter, literally this, if any woman watching this who supports the SNP, know now that they have actively removed a protection for you. Don't vote for them. They don't care about your protection. That you could have had your sex put in there as a protected characteristic. And they said no, because that was problematic. Because the men who want to dress up as women would find that a problem. And so they've removed a safety guard for you. That's how little they think of you. Stop voting these people. They have no regard. They treat you with contempt. Half the population wiped out by the SNP with contempt. So if all the women in Scotland refuse to vote for SNP, the SNP are done. They're done immediately. Finished. But they should be. They have no God-given right to exist anyway. And secondly, look at the contempt they have literally just done to women. Anyway, Jean said that while she's not normally prone to conspiracy theories, she found it quite sinister, considering that the Scottish Government's stance on trans issues. She said the SNP executive had tried to push through legislation that has exceedingly detrimental impacts on women. And she's right. She said she could not take them seriously on laws to protect women's beliefs in biological sex because of the government's disregard for women's safety and privacy. She said suggestions from a previous guest that legislation had brought to Holyrood was optimistic because the nationalists cannot and will not define women. They cannot and will not define hate, which is why this law is going to be so much fun. Their definition is that one person can find it offensive and that's enough. The burden is very low. The bar is low. Use that bar. People, use the bar against them. They brought this in to try and make dissent something that they can deal with. Oh, you've broke the law. You've insulted me. I'm Humza Yousaf. You've said something I don't like. That's Islamophobia. That's a hate crime. Boom. And then they can remove the argument by making these claims. Fine. They want that. Let's give them that. Let's give them exactly what they want. They want this law to work. Let's make it work. But let's make it work for us against them. Bang, bang, bang. The only way we can win is if we all stick together and we all make the complaints 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, but only against politicians. All the time, every day. They'll get sick of it and then they'll change the law or abandon the law. I mean, Labour and the Tories already said they're going to rescind it anyway, so it's never going to be there long. Anyway, Jean added, it's very difficult to take any statement seriously by the Scottish Government about crimes and hatred against women when we have a situation where men who want to identify as women are regarded as women, and women who make a truly factual statement that only women can give birth, then they could find themselves on the receiving end of a hate crime. She added, the actions with this hate crime legislation are going to have women on the receiving end of hate crime reports. Characteristics included in the legislation are age, disability, race, religion, sexual orientation, transgender identity, and variation in sex characteristics. So here's the thing. If someone says, oh, you're just saying that because you're straight, bang, that's a hate crime. Sexual orientation, Bang. If they mention that you're Protestant, bang, hate crime. Oh, look, shut your face, you old bastard. Bang, hate crime. We're bringing in legislation that we want to up the age of the pension. Hate crime. These people are so stupid. Anyway, reporting centres have been set up around the country. Mostly, it seems, in sex shops or mushroom parlours. Make your pick. Every report is set to be logged, sparking concerns that Scotland will appear as the most hateful place on earth. And they will have to invest in creating a whole new police force. The Thought Police, the Stasi, the Scottish Stasi. Yeah, the Mac KGB. That will be who it is. Going around, getting father reporting on son, brother reporting on mother. It's a wonderful world they're trying to create. The North Korea, isn't it? It's going to basically they're turning Britain into North and South Korea, with Kim Jong-Yusuf up there, the single party monolithic state, and he says that should Scotland become independent, he's going to have a hard border. Yes, but it'll be a wall, mesh, dogs, gun towers, not to keep people out, you understand, but to keep people in. Coming up. You know, the more it goes on, the more ridiculous it is. And there's already so many loopholes and clauses and problems with it. It's going to be humorous. I mean, you know, some people are very seriously worried about it, but don't be. Simply keep reporting politicians and it will go away. But like I say, there's so many other laws and you've got so many protections. The 2010 Act, the European Convention on Human Rights, it's virtually unbreakable. You know, you what's the word? You're protected. You have a shield of protection. The protection is UK and international law. Whatever Humza says, it isn't going to work. But the police are obliged to investigate, so investigate away. Bang. Didn't like what Ross Greer said. Bang. Didn't like what Harvey said. Bang. Definitely didn't like what the Muslim in chief said. Let's wind them up. Let's do it. Let's break them. Anyway, I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. I will speak to you later. Bye.